She had always been calculating, but that Tuesday, when she served me the divorce papers and demanded half of everything, she revealed more than she intended. "It's fair," she said, voice steady, eyes cold. "After all, we built this life together." But there was a tremor in her hand, a flash of panic in her gaze, as if she knew that fairness was the last word she would ever get from me. I had known for months that she had been hiding something. Late nights, unexplained trips, hushed phone calls. But I needed proof, not suspicion. Now, with her claim on half my assets, I realized that the timing of her greed might be her undoing. It started with small clues. A credit card charge for a hotel downtown claimed to be for work travel, but the dates didn't match any business meeting. Emails from a man I didn't know, carefully deleted, but recoverable from her cloud backups. Subtle gifts she had received, delivered to the office, never mentioned. At first, I cataloged these details quietly, documenting everything, cross-referencing receipts, messages, and GPS data. Patience, I reminded myself. Haste would ruin the advantage I now held. The first break came when I discovered a recurring pattern. Payments she had received from an unknown source, routed through offshore accounts, always shortly before she planned trips she claimed were visits to her sister or work conferences. I hired a forensic accountant and a private investigator. Discreet professionals who knew how to follow paper trails and shadow movements without raising suspicion. Within weeks, the evidence was undeniable. She had been seeing someone for over a year. A man who, it turned out, was not just a secret lover, but also under federal investigation for financial fraud. Transactions traced to her accounts showed that she had been complicit in small ways, knowingly or unknowingly facilitating his schemes. Photos recovered by the investigator documented late-night visits to his residence, receipts for extravagant gifts she had tried to pass off as personal indulgences, and messages that made the intimacy and planning clear. The final piece was timing. She had filed for divorce, demanding half of our joint assets, unaware that I had compiled a complete dossier of her affair and her accomplice's activities. Instead of confronting her privately, I contacted the FBI directly, submitting the full evidence package. The files included financial records, GPS logs, photographs, messages, and a detailed report from the investigator and accountant. Every piece was time-stamped and verified, leaving no room for dispute. She called me the next day, frantic, voice shaking. "What are you doing?" "You can't." "I already did," I said calmly. "The FBI has everything they need. Your lover is going to be arrested. And your claims for half of the assets? They're complicated now, aren't they?" Panic replaced her composure. Her eyes widened as she realized the scale of what she had unleashed. The man she thought she could manipulate had a much larger problem than her. Her involvement meant scrutiny. Within hours, federal agents were dispatched. They executed search warrants, froze accounts, and eventually arrested him. The news traveled quickly, confirming what I had documented. She had hidden the affair, had financial ties to criminal activity, and had attempted to claim half of my assets while under investigation herself. Her social and professional standing crumbled. Friends distanced themselves, wary of association with someone linked to federal crimes. Colleagues and neighbors whispered, and her attempts to defend herself became frantic and incoherent. The carefully constructed image she had maintained, polished, trustworthy, sophisticated, was gone. Every lie she had told me, every secret meeting, every stolen hour away from home now stood as evidence of deceit and complicity. Meanwhile, the divorce proceedings changed dramatically. Her claim to half of the assets was challenged not just by the affair, but by the legal implications of her involvement with a criminal investigation. Attorneys cited evidence that she had knowingly facilitated illegal activity, making her legally vulnerable. The court, now aware of the context, limited her claims and protected my interests. When she tried to approach me, pleading, begging, crying, I remained calm. There was no need for theatrics. The law, evidence, and timing had already exacted justice. She had assumed that money and manipulation could secure her future, but she had underestimated the precision and patience required to counter deceit. Every document, every photo, every timestamp was now a shield and a sword, proof that betrayal carries consequences beyond the personal. Weeks later, the trial of her lover commenced, and she was summoned to testify. I did not need to speak. Her own words, captured in messages and actions, did all the talking. The FBI and prosecutors ensured that her complicity, intentional or negligent, was on record. Her world narrowed to courtrooms, whispers, and the realization that her actions had consequences she could not undo. In the end, I had reclaimed not just my assets, but my dignity. She had tried to take half, thinking she could manipulate circumstance and sentiment. Instead, I turned the tables, using meticulous documentation, strategic patience, and decisive action to ensure that deceit met accountability. The lover's arrest was a natural consequence of her choices, and my life moved forward with clarity, justice, and the knowledge that betrayal, when measured and exposed, cannot survive the weight of truth. She had gambled on lies and greed. She lost everything except the bitter knowledge that I had seen through her facade. And I, in exposing her affair and orchestrating the consequences, had ensured that the scales of justice, both legal and moral, were balanced at last.